I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Julpy and Ghosty.
Love and Rockets Ball of Confusion. This is a cover of the Temptations. The Temptations are like a 50s doo-wop band, aren't they? For timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. This is Ball of Confusion. Love and Rockets. Let's do it.
Shout out to CSN. And go.
People moving out, people moving in. Why? Because of the color of the skin. Run, 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 but you just can't hide. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Vote for me and I'll set you free. Rap on, brother. Rap on. Well, the only person talking about love today is the preacher. And he sings, nobody gets you started learning but the teacher. Segregation, termination, demonstration, integration, aggravation, humiliation, devastation of the nation. Full of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey. Full of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey. Singing off pills at an all-time high. Who put the feeling in pie the sky? The city's aflame in the summertime. And the beat goes on. 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 Economics, Reaganomics, birth control, the sound of soul. Shooting rockets to the moon, kids blowing up as soon the politicians say. And the band plays on. So round and around and around we go. Where the world's heading, nobody knows. Full of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey. Full of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. Fear in the air, tension everywhere. Unemployment rising fast.
Practice, new records are gas.
And the band played on. And the band played on. And the band played on. And the band played eve of destruction, tax deductions, inspectors who collected solid gold in demand, population out of hand, suicide, to rebuild, everyone moving to the hills, people all over the world are dying in the war. And the band played on. And the band played on. And the band played on. And the band played for the confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey. Hey, for the confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey. For the confusion. For the confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey. Hey, for the confusion.
I hope we get to see
That's what the world is today. Hey, hey.
Well, no, because it looks like that's the official video. I hope it doesn't get blocked like the...
Oh, I thought you meant you want to see the original and not the cover.
What got blocked? The Mad Season song that we did. Which
I'm going to put it up for the patrons on...
Yeah, isn't it already up on Patreon?
Well, it looked like they was having some trouble. I might have posted it incorrectly, so I got to redo it.
We uploaded it via Vimeo, and so for blocked videos, we upload them on Vimeo where we're able to skim through the copyright thing, and then it's uploaded on Patreon.
I mean, it still gets... we it's not like on the other. It's not like it got completely blocked on YouTube. So
Yeah.
the only way for us to leave the video that we actually watched in it is by putting it up on Vimeo. So
Yeah.
so that people can access it
There you are.
I would have to get into that more.
So, anyway, this is an interesting song because when did the Temptations originally write this song? Because this got covered in 1986. So
I have no clue.
I'll have to.
I feel like lyrically, it's not going to be like a 30-minute review. So would we have time to listen to the original too?
I disagree with you.
Oh, really? That much?
He said a lot here.
Well, yeah, but I guess you can talk for hours on any subject. For me, it was just, he was basically just talking about the issues in the world, and the band's just going to keep playing, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Well, the concept of the band playing on is 1970, so 16 years. So the Temptations originally came out with this song in 1970, April 12th. But it's an interesting, we were going to do... there's a lot of dynamics here. First of all, the Temptations is an all-black band.
Oh.
Right? So that's one angle. So you got an all-white band covering an all-black band. So that's an interesting angle. The other angle is that what these guys were saying 16 years prior to what these guys were saying is still pertinent, which is obviously, 30 years later is still present. And now we can say, if you thought that there was fair intention everywhere back then,
you should see us now.
You should see us now, damn it. The band played on as
although unemployment rising fast. Shout out to Trump.
Right. No, I tip my hat. I gave it to him. Trump is so hilarious. I'm watching all these things like blaming Trump for coronavirus.
Blaming him for the coronavirus?
So it's his fault we got coronavirus, but it's not his fault that we've got good unemployment. It's unbelievable. I'm not going to vote for Trump, and I didn't vote for him before, but I'm also not, I mean, I've got eyes, good light. The concept of the band playing on, though, is very interesting. I feel like that's an extremely significant line.
It's gone. Go ahead. Carry on.
Because sometimes the band played on is kind of like a criticism. Like, oh, you're just going along with stuff as if nothing is happening. Mm-hmm. But other times, the concept of the band playing on is kind of like the ultimate in virtue, and kind of it is kind of a way for artists to get together and hold themselves accountable to be what they're supposed to be in a given society. So, like, the biggest example would be the Titanic is going down, and these guys are still playing on the which I don't know if that's an urban legend or not, but I heard that that's actually what happened. Like,
I heard that as well.
These guys still kept playing the music as the ship is going down, and they all died or something like that. Which speaks to, I just, musician, especially a song like this, like, that's kind of the musician's job. I kind of said this. I was having a conversation with somebody about the importance of artists in a given. So I was taking it's a personality political test that everybody in the Middle America Forum was taking, and one of the statements was the government should fund or pay for the arts. And that was one of the statements. I said no. And it's not because I don't believe in the arts. I said no because once the government starts
exactly what I was thinking.
Funding you, then
you lose your freedom.
You lose the ability to critique them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like YouTube. Like, YouTube will punish you. Like, so if I do a pro Bernie video, then they're going to say, okay, well, monetarily we'll do this to you. Mm-hmm. And if you do, I remember one time I did an anti Candace Owens video. And they immediately monetized it, and then they shared it around.
Yeah.
And everybody who does political commentary, everybody says it. Mm-hmm. Tim Pool says it. Jimmy Dore says it. Like, but because we have this channel to kind of compensate for it, I'm not beholden to YouTube's monetary, whatever. And so
Yeah, it's so crazy because when you first started, because so many of the videos on this channel get blocked, and so you
Right.
can't monetize them and all that because we play the song straight through. I was like, oh, excellent! Like you're starting a political channel. Like maybe we will be able to go full time off YouTube with
Right,
that.
right.
And now I'm like,
Yeah.
ours is more lucrative. This channel's more lucrative than the political one.
Correct.
It's crazy.
Correct. Just on ads alone, because they'll tell you, and you know, you say like this is not suitable for our audience. Like, okay, like anything remotely critical of the DNC is not suitable. But then when I do something critical of somebody they don't like, it automatically turns green and you have money. But it's their platform.
Yeah.
So I really don't have it. That's why I don't complain about it. I don't complain about it because it's their platform. Mm-hmm. So they can decide whether or not to make the channel lucrative or not. I didn't pay to have all this stuff out. There's hundreds of thousands of people who've seen the other channel, and so where else would you have had that opportunity? So I'm not mad at
The
it.
channel he's talking about is Middle America with Vin and Sori.
I'm not mad at it at all. There's a lot of people. A lot of people actually it discourages them to the point where they just get out. They don't do it. Mm-hmm. Because it's so frustrating.
Yeah, of course it's frustrating. To
'cause
make a whole video and then
Yeah.
it like basically just gets thrown to the side, and then if you do one that's... Yeah, I can see that being frustrating and wanting to quit. But
And the other thing is you see what you're supposed to be making on Social Blade. So Social Blade will estimate based on your views and how long you should be making X via X per video. And then when you see that you're not, it's a gut punch, and a lot of people have a very, very hard time navigating around that. They're like, you know what, screw this, I'm out. So but the point is once you get the government involved, which I do believe that the government is involved in YouTube just in different ways, right? Like it's clear that the folks in Silicon Valley have made a decision about being part of some resistance, and so they're going to act accordingly. Like that's obvious to anybody that does this for work, which is fine. That's their platform. But if you make the arts and funding the arts and you marry that to the government, man, that's a disaster. That's where you get propaganda. That's where you get. So that's why I said no. And I thought that was a poorly worded question because I knew. Well, I thought I knew, but who knows? Maybe I don't know what their algorithm was in telling you. I ended up being like a center liberal, like a centrist liberal is what I ended up being. Which is pretty close to Matthew Maida, which is also pretty close to Cassia, which is also pretty close to Adar.
Oh, really?
All of whom have well, Matthew Maida hasn't, have accused me of being right-wing shills. Yeah. But the point was, like, I was like, no, I don't want the government to fund the arts because then the arts won't be able to freely criticize the government.
Yeah.
And I think that, so I'm assuming that they interpreted that as me being a right-winger, like, this is ridiculous. If I thought that there was a way for the government to fund the arts without them corrupting the arts, I would absolutely be for it, because I do believe that they're very necessary.
Yeah, oh, I agree.
Artists are very, very necessary, especially musicians from as far back as human history when we've had them. Musicians have been able to influence, I mean, you know, there's a couple stories of Muhammad assassinating a couple poets for writing bad poetry about him. And people are like, oh my God, Muhammad, he's terrible. He assassinated these poets just because they wrote some bad stuff about him. What people don't realize is there was no CNN at the time. So the way that you did propaganda in the Middle East at that time was you did it through poetry, because the poets actually had the respect of the people. If you can manipulate that Arabic language, which is so beautiful, and you can make it poetic, that functioned as, that influenced everybody's thought process. So, like, for example, when Muhammad was in Medina, you would have people in Medina that hated him. So he would be up there preaching, and then somebody would come up and start talking crap about him, da-da-da-da-da. And you know what they did? There was one guy who was a Muslim, he was a poet, and the guy used to stand up and freestyle and go after the guy who was going after Muhammad. And they loved him so much that they set up a mini pulpit for the guy, So Muhammad would be over here, and then the other guy would be over there, and somebody would come in, and then Muhammad would go, get him! And then the guy would, you know, like lyrically dismantle the guy.
That's interesting.
Shame him. The guy would leave the masjid, and Muhammad would go on with his khutbah. So my point is, like, that is how important the arts were.
Yeah.
In that context, you know, the vast majority of the Quran is actually poetry, and we've seen how powerful that has been. And it's the same thing with the Bible. If you really want to dig into the book of Genesis, like, one of the clues that you're about to go into a very important crisis point in the narrative is its poetry. Like, there's strategic poetry lines in the Bible that indicate that something important is going to happen. It's kind of like so my point is, like, all through human history, whether it's the ancient Near East, whether it's the Middle East, whether it's here, you know, there's a reason that all these rallies have music in them. The DNC, all these rallies, you know, Trump comes out with, I'm proud to be an American, and then, of course, the Democrats come out with Rage Against the Machine, you know.
I mean, you could say even in war, there's been instruments and...
Correct.
You know...
The drums
executions, it was pretty major things in our...
Right, so the band playing on in the context of political commentary is massive because it influences so many... Like, to this day, like Tupac's line, they got a war on poverty. Instead of a war on poverty, they got a war on drugs so police can bother me. Like, to this day, that's still in my head. Like, you know what I mean? And a person could say, well, you know, false, you know, whatever. And maybe. But that's how powerful... that's why I think it says here, it says, like, rap on, rapper, or something like that. He said something like, yeah, rap on, brother, rap on. So, I think people underestimate the power of music, particularly music. I think Dave Chappelle was the guy that opened my eyes to how important comedians were. Comedians are to the current political discourse. Because Dave Chappelle's, you know, I might be exaggerating. We'll see in about 10 to 20 years. But Dave Chappelle's Sticks and Stones was revolutionary, I think. Because it kind of put the death knell in the whole political correctness, yada, yada, yada.
I know. It was wild.
Then Ricky Gervais came out and he blew up all those actors on the Academy Awards. He was like, just come up here and thank God. Don't lecture us on your whatever. You guys are all hanging out with Harvey Weinstein and all that shit 10 years ago. Don't come up here and lecture us about morality. Like, he blitzed all those people to their face.
Yeah.
And that came on the heels of the Dave Chappelle thing. Right. So it was like, wow. And it was like, everybody was like, yeah, screw these people. Yeah. Screw these people. How dare they come and lecture us when they all knew the guy was a lecherous bastard the entire time and they, you know, went along with it. You know, the guy, he said something like, you guys would be doing a movie with ISIS if they would pay you enough. Like, he was in, my gosh. So, the arts are absolute, speaking of which, in the comments section, there's a Gigi Allen movie that somebody's been asking us to do. Not movie, but skit or something that somebody's been asking us to review. If you want us to do that Gigi Allen thing, put 22 on there. And no, we're not going to do like your favorite comedian, but this guy has been asking for Gigi Allen for like...
so, yeah, we're trying to see if... Do we miss a... We're supposed to pick her up?
No.
Okay.
Stand by. This is Sori's mother. Okay, so it's a medium.
No, it's a grande.
Grande. Toffee nut frappuccino with heavy cream instead of milk. 6 pumps of toffee nut with whipped cream and nutmeg on top. Enjoy it for me, because I will probably never be able to have that again, because that's not keto friendly. We're in the middle of reviewing a video, so say hi to everyone. Well, you can't, because I'm saying it from my watch, but I'll say hi to everyone for you.
Whenever she goes to Starbucks, Is that done yet?
You gotta stop talking. It's catching up to me. Are we leaving this in?
Yeah. Whenever she goes to Starbucks, she always wants that drink. I told her, I'm like, copy it down and put it in the notes on your phone. But she's like me. She won't do it. It's would be so much more convenient for her to do that. It's so inconvenient for her to have to rely on us. What, is it still going?
Yeah. It's alright.
So she always calls up to get it. I'm telling you, I was not a coffee person at all. I don't like bitter coffee. And then Vin brought me to Starbucks. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Starbucks is the worst coffee because it's even more bitter than bitter. And then he ordered that drink. It's like a friggin' dessert. If you have a little extra cash and you want one. Huh?
I made it up too, by the way.
Yeah, he's good at bossing people around for cooking stuff. It does come out to be some really good recipes.
Thanks, she says. Okay. So, so type 22 if you want us to review that Gigi Allen skit.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to do it consistently, but this guy has literally been asking for pretty much close to a year. Okay. So these guys, and I liked, like, lyrically, I liked the way they did the whole, like, the little rap thing, like before rap. Economics, Reaganomics, birth control, the status quo, shooting rockets to the moon, kids growing up too soon. I liked that. I liked it. I liked the flow. Evil destruction, tax dejection, city inspectors, bill collectors, solid gold, in demand, population out of hand, suicide, too many beers, hippies moving to the hill. This is really good stuff. I really liked it. He's talking about white flight and all that stuff. I liked it. I liked it. The 80s was such an interesting time, man. These people really, like, they really thought that those suits were cool.
Well, when I saw these, well, they look like kids to me, but when I was looking at them, I'm like, if you just saw them on the side of the road, they'd be like the kind of kids that if you were like a judgmental person, you'd be like, wow, they're up to no good. You know what I mean? Like with his hair all
with the hair
all over the place and
mullet.
Stuff. Yeah.
I mean, that's a mullet, right? I mean, that's just a stylish,
basically.
stylish 80s mullet, but it's still a mullet.
Yeah. But here they are. I mean, they're singing about something that's very, it has some weight to it. It still wasn't my thing at all.
Really? Mm-mm. I mean, it was very much an 80s song. I liked it a ton. I thought that they were saying some really, really, really important stuff. Eve of destruction, tax deduction. Those things are kind of like, depending on what I can't believe you thought this was going to be a short review. Like, this review is going to be too short because there's so many things that were said here that I can't really touch on. But, like, for example, those two lines right there talk about two different economic strategies. You've got one strategy that says the way to help the economy to avoid destruction is to, alleviate taxes. Mm-hmm. And another side that says in order to sustain the economy, you need higher taxes. Mm-hmm. Which is what's happening right now. You've got Trump who's saying, hey, all the unemployment's low because I'm lowering the taxes and all the small business people can hire people.
You know what I think happens?
And then you got Bernie saying we need to increase taxes, otherwise we're going to have destruction. Go ahead.
I think what happens with me is sometimes I just want to hear the music. I don't want to feel like I'm in school. And sometimes when we go into all of the breakdowns, sometimes I feel like I'm in school and I'm learning. And I would rather just back to back those songs and be like, which one did I like better? The cover or the original?
Right. Well, we were going to have Covers Week.
Yeah. Well, we still are. We have one like literally loaded up for Covers Week.
Yeah, yeah.
Shout out to Christine.
If I would have had the foresight, I would have said, I'd have asked CSN to like choose another pick so that we could do this in Covers Week because it would have been very unique to play a Temptations song on this channel because they're, like I said, they're like a doo-wop band from the, whatever. But I'm no longer going to talk about the other awesome issues in this song. Ladies and gentlemen, you can look at the lyrics and see how very culturally insightful it was. Some people
and how lazy Sori is. She just wants to hear music.
Anyway, what do you give the song?
It's a 3.
A 3?
I should have made you go first. Can you just give me your honest thing without trying to like...
I'm not even going to talk to you in the gym.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
I'm not going to talk to you. This is a 9.5 for me. 9.5.
Well, I'm not talking to you either. That's
good.
Ridiculous. This is not a 9.5.
I hope so. I'll be able to get a good workout this time.
Wow.
Because I'll be angry. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.
That's what the world is today. Hey, hey. Full of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey. Singing off pills at an all-time high. Who put the filling in pie in the sky? The city's aflame in the summertime. And the beat goes on. 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 Economics, Reaganomics, birth control, the sound of soul. Shooting rockets to the moon, kids growing up to soon the politicians say. And the band plays on. So round and around and around we go. Where the world's heading, nobody knows. Full of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey. Full of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. Fear in the air, tension everywhere. Unemployment rising fast.
Practice, new records are gas.
And the band played on. And the band played on. And the band played on. And the band played Eve of Destruction. Tax deductions, inspectors and collectors. Solid gold in demand. Population out of hand. Suicide, everyone moving to the hills. People always